What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. Mikey Garcia makes an announcement. So it's the first time I've seen Mikey Garcia give an interview since immediately after the fight. He makes a press announcement on Fight Hype. Shout out to Fight Hype for the interview, saying that he's going to have an exhibition match against Eric Morales coming up on May 18th, which I do believe is the same day as the Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale fight. And he's got a lot of other, nonprofit stuff going on. But there was something I really noticed in that conversation, man. And I was listening to it and looking at it like, wow. But before I get into that, though, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not a subscriber, you need to become one. Hit the subscribe button. Then after you hit the subscribe button, you're going to be notified. You're going to be asked to hit that subscription, the bell icon, and then you'll be notified of when we do all of our videos, when we drop all of our videos, and also when we do our live streams, which are Monday through Friday. Start time between 10:45 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, right after Trill Boxing Talk. And then also, of course, we do the OG Boxing Talk, historical boxing talk with Blood Boxing, KQKC on the channel, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now let's get to it. And also check out the Patreon. Good stuff on the Patreon. Mikey Garcia looked bad. Mikey Garcia looked like he got whooped real bad. And I double checked this before I made this video. I went and looked at other interviews that he did. And just in the amount that I saw, I noticed a difference, man. Mikey Garcia in this interview with Fight Hype has his tongue, he keeps flipping his tongue out and smacking his lips. And he'll jut his tongue out and smack his lips. His voice, his talk seems a little bit slower. Man, they should have thrown in that towel. They should have thrown in that towel. Because from what I could see, Mikey looked, man, whenever you look at these old school boxers, man, and once you see them start smacking their lips and their tongue start jutting out in the middle of a sentence, right? They just flick their tongue out and they smack their lips. Dog, that's a sign of brain damage. That is a sign of brain damage. And Mikey was smacking his lips several times, tongue flicking out, just flicking out. Like smacking your lips is one thing. You might be thirsty, but why is his tongue just jetting out his mouth like that? That's not a good sign, man. That looked like how, Ruslan, if you guys remember the fight between Tim Bradley and Ruslan Provodnikov, and how Tim Bradley was like, man, because Tim Bradley was honest about it. He said after that fight, man, my speech was slurring for a while. Like, he really took some serious punishment against Ruslan Provodnikov. Man, Errol Spence Jr. put a lot of heavy shots on Mikey Garcia. And there is a lot of brain moving around, man. And why wouldn't they throw in the towel? Now, obviously I'm not a doctor. So let me say that out here. I am not a doctor. I am not somebody that can diagnose brain damage, but I looked up I went to Google and I looked up smacking lips, tongue sticking out. And it talked about brain damage. And how you'll see when like a dog gets hit or somebody gets hit by a car, gets hit in the head or something like that, and they suffered either major, some type of brain damage, that's one of the side effects that people have when they do that. And if you look back on Muhammad Ali, in Muhammad Ali's early fight videos or interviews, he's just talking, right? Fast. He's not smacking his lips. He's not jutting his tongue out. But once he gets into like the 1970s and 1980s, you hear that dragging speech. And it's before it became obvious to everybody. Hindsight is 2020. But if you look at it, like after the fight that he had with Ernie Shavers, the fights that he had with Joe Frazier, like Joe Frazier won, man. When he kept getting hit with that left hook, left hook after left hook after left hook, and eventually a left hook dropped him. Every time you get hit like that, man, your brain is rattling around in your head. And you would hear him, obviously, over time, his speech would get slower and slower and slower, but you would also see more and more lip smacking, and you would see more and more just for no good reason, his tongue just jetting out his mouth, like just sticking his tongue out real quick. Go look at that interview that Mikey Garcia has with Fight Hype, and that's what you see. You see at least 3 times that I saw his tongue just jet out, and I saw him smacking his lips, and I have to assume he has the ability to get a drink of water. You know, he's not fighting, he's not in a fight, so, you know, it just didn't look good, man. It didn't look good. Mikey looked like he first of all, we know Mikey took a beating. There was no doubt that Mikey Garcia took a beating. But to see how he just seemed a little bit slower, like I watched the interview that he had and when I say that he sounds slower, I mean like right before the fight with Errol Spence. When I went and listened to how he was speaking in the face-to-face that he had, when you're looking at him speak in the interviews with Ellie Sethback, man, he just didn't. Man, Mikey Garcia is going to need like a year off. He's going to need a year off, man. At least a year off. I wouldn't be looking for him to get back in the ring, in a real fight for at least a year, if not a year and a half. Mikey Garcia needs to make sure that his brain is all the way back intact. And I'm not saying this, I'm not trying to insult Mikey. I'm not hating on Mikey. You know, brain damage in boxing is a very real thing, man. And there's a reason, like Lamont Peterson, when Lamont Peterson was fighting Errol Spence Jr. and stuff started going downhill, like before, and by the way, man, Lamont Peterson somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time that fight was stopped, man, Lamont Peterson hadn't been knocked down. Lamont Peterson was just getting whooped. And there was a period in that fight with Mikey Garcia where Errol Spence Jr. hit him with like 17 straight punches. Backed up, came back and hit him with some more. I mean, pretty much from the 3rd round on, man, you start seeing Errol Spence just snapping his head back, hitting him. Man, discretion is the better part of valor. And when you have a guy like Derrick James, who's in the corner of the opposition, take the time out to go to yell at Mikey Garcia's corner and tell them, stop the fight. And them like, F you. And Mikey's corner's like, look, man, if you don't show me something, I'm gonna have to stop the fight. He's like, no, I can go. No, man, you don't let him go. Because I might be wrong about, first of all, I know I'm not right. You get punched in the head that many times, hundreds of times by Errol Spence Jr., your brain is moving around in your head. So that's not even a question about whether I'm right about that. Mikey Garcia was taking way too much punishment. That fight should have been stopped in the 10th round. He had no chance to win. There was nothing for him. Nothing that he was going to get out of that except for some, moral victory, making it out of the fight, and some brain damage and a brain damage sandwich. No, dude, no. That was irresponsible, and they should have stopped the fight, man. Now, as far as this exhibition with Eric Morales, that's probably a smart move for him. Sell some tickets, not big, they'll probably have headgear on, all that good stuff, not really go at each other too hard. They got they got actual professional fights. They said that they're going to be doing a fundraiser for a boxer who got hit by a bullet in a drive-by. So that's a beautiful thing, man. Hats off to him for doing that. And they said a portion of the proceeds. I'm not sure what that means, but that's a beautiful thing, man. Hats off to Mikey for doing that. And I hope that I'm wrong about that, his tongue jutting out and his lips smacking like that. But, that probably has something to do with why we haven't seen him in the last few weeks. And May 18th is 2 months off. So, man, Mikey, take a rest. Don't get back in the ring for a very long time until you know that that everything is checked out, that your brain is all the way back together, And the next time a fighter, when a fighter's just getting beat up for no reason, just taking unnecessary punishment, man, I watched a Salvador Sanchez fight earlier today against, God, what was his name? The Puerto Rican dude. I can't remember his name right now, but a great Puerto Rican champion, and Wilfredo Gomez. And that fight was stopped it was a TKO in the 8th round, right? But man, Salvador Sanchez was hitting Gomez with everything but the kitchen sink. And I was like, dang, why don't they stop this fight? Don't they see this dude's head bouncing around all over the place? But he didn't stop it. And it was like, wow, back in the day, man, back in the early 80s, they really let a lot of stuff go longer, man. But for Mikey Garcia, there's no reason to keep fighting like that. But anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.